I have an interesting thought to ponder today. Do states have rights? Well, we'll ponder that next on the Constitution Study.
There's one thing you have to know wherever you make your stand. Came from a long through line of everyday Americans.
Well, hello there, everyday Americans. Paul Engel here with the Constitution Study, where we read and study the Constitution and teach the rising generation to be free. I'm glad you could join me today. As always, head over to the website, constitutionstudy.com. Learn everything about the Constitution Study. I've got several speaking engagements coming up. Follow me if you are interested. If you're at one of these events, if you're going to be in the area, stop by, say hello. I'd love to meet you in person, have the chance to sit down, talk, maybe have a little Q&A, maybe get some other ideas for what's going on. Things are going really well. I'm actually looking for an editor for the book. So the book is pretty much written. It's time for a good edit, and I'm still looking to have that published by the end of the year. So those of you who are interested, again, at the website, you can sign up for the mailing list, and I'll send you updates every month, including where we sit as far as the book and other products like the online study, and even a new product I'm considering called, tentatively calling it Constitution Study Guides, helping people to teach more about the Constitution. So do me a favor. Let me know, in the comments, tell me, would you be interested in an online class designed to help you or people you know not only learn the Constitution for themselves, but to teach it to others, to explain it to others, to guide others through their own learning experience? Put that in the comment section. Let me know. That's one of the projects that I'm working on. As always, I want to thank everybody who helps out to make all this happen. I love the Murphys and their band Rebel North. They let me use their music for the bumps. Groups like Restore the Intent, Constitutional Grassroots Movement, Conversations on the Culture all help spread the word, help me engage. I'm doing some live speaking events. If you'd like me to come and speak at one of your events, head over to the website. Again, constitutionstudy.com, request a speaker. I love doing that. I love getting up and interacting with people. And with that, let's get talking about states' rights. I hear a lot about that. A lot of people talk about states' rights. And it's interesting. For the longest time, when I started studying and getting really involved, the idea of states' rights just seemed a little off. It just didn't seem quite right. I think people have rights. What about states? Could states have rights? And I did a live stream earlier this month where I go through a workshop I do called What is a Right? And in researching and developing what is a right, I really started digging deep into this idea of, can states have rights? So we all understand that we can have individual rights, right? Freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom from unreasonable search and seizures. All of this are rights given to individuals. But the question is, can organizations have rights? Government is nothing more than a specific type of organization. It's an organization of people that we've endowed with powers. Can an organization have rights? Because if an organization can't have rights, then a government can't have rights. So can an organization have rights, and can this organization we call government, have rights? Well, as part of the research, I actually went to the dictionary and I looked up rights in the Webster's 1828 dictionary, and it said a just claim, immunity, or privilege. Now, I go through a whole other thing, and you can watch that. It's recorded. It's up on YouTube and Facebook and on the website. But when I stop and think about a state, do states have just claims? Do they have just privileges and immunities? And that really got me thinking. Does a state have a just claim of immunity from federal intervention? See, when I start thinking about rights from that standpoint, yes, think of the 10th Amendment. It says whatever the Constitution doesn't say the federal government can do, reserved to the states. They have a just claim of immunity from federal intervention on anything not specifically listed in the Constitution. Furthermore, The federal government has a just claim to the power, to the privileges granted them by the Constitution. So Congress has a just privilege of declaring war, of raising revenue, of establishing standards for naturalization. These are just claims of immunity and of privilege that different governments have. But that got me thinking a little bit farther. See, we talk about, in the Declaration we read, that all men are created equal, they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. So if we get our unalienable rights from our Creator, does it make sense that governments might get rights from their Creator? Well, back in the Declaration, it says, to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the governed. Governments are instituted. Governments are created among men, and they're created by man. So if we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, are governments endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights? Unalienable from the standpoint that only the Creator can change them. Our rights come from our Creator, therefore only our Creator can change them or stop them. Well then, if governments get their rights from the people, only the people can change their rights. Now, I know this sounds a little weird and sounds a little out there, but stop and follow me for a second. We created states. Declaration of Independence created 13 states, 13 nations. And we said they were free to do the types of things that states do. Those states were created by the people of those states, and they were endowed with powers. They were endowed with rights to do things. Those states then got together, created a compact we call the Constitution, created an entity called the federal government, we now call the federal government, and endowed it with certain powers. Why is this important? Well, if the powers endowed to the federal government are created by the states, only the states can change those powers. This becomes very important as you look in the news and you see what Congress is trying to order the executive branch to do something outside of the legislative process. Where the executive branch is trying to do things that the legislature hasn't authorized. And don't even get me started on the judicial branch, which decided it's going to make up laws and interpretations outside of the legislative process because they think they have this concept of judicial review, which is well beyond anything that was ever granted to them. You see, it's not simply that the federal government can infringe on our rights. They are infringing on the rights of the states. They are even infringing on others because they're taking their rights and using them to infringe on the rights of others. And by understanding that government is just isn't some magical, mystical entity that just oozed out of the earth, that it's a creation of the people, and that we endow it with their rights. We tell them what they can and cannot do. It becomes very important for us to hold our creation accountable, to hold our creation in check to the powers and privileges and rights we have given it, and not let it run amok. It is our responsibility. It's our duty. Yet most Americans can't be bothered to even vote for an agent to help you do that. We don't hold our state governments accountable, and we certainly don't hold our federal government accountable. And then we wonder why they don't bother recognizing our rights when we don't recognize their rights. See, it's very interesting. And I did this live stream, and I talk about how important it is to not only protect your own rights, but to protect the rights of others. That we just don't stop to think, are we protecting the rights of the states from their infringement on the federal government? Now, my last episode, I talked about what Missouri is doing to protect their rights. And actually, my next episode is more about what Missouri is doing to protect their rights. But it comes down to the basic understanding that states are the creation of the people, the federal government is a creation of the states, And at each stage, that we take rights that we already have and we endow them to our creation. We have rights, we endowed it to the states. States took those rights, took some of them and endowed them to the federal government. And if we understand that, we get a better understanding of how our governments are designed to work, and really how important it is for we the people to be engaged in keeping them accountable, making sure they're acting within the rules that we've established. See, as often as we like to blame Washington or our state capital for the problem, ultimately that finger's got to come back and point at us, because we gave them the powers and then we let them loose and didn't bother keeping an eye on them. So I hope you found that interesting. I hope it made you think. I hope you didn't just say, yeah, states have rights and walked away. I hope you thought about, well, why do states have rights? Where do those rights come from? And how should they be treated? As always, head over to the website, constitutionstudy.com, find out more about what we're doing. Leave a comment, ask a question. Did I confuse you completely with this? Or is this kind of like, oh, I never thought of that? Let's take these ideas and use them, run with them. You know, again, like I said, I didn't think about it this way till I actually spent some time studying the concepts of rights, where they are, where they're applied, and how they're applied. If you want to find out more, it would be the June 17th episode, What is a Right? I'd spend about an hour describing what is a right, and I think it was really great. I hope you will too. I hope you thought this was interesting. Again, reach out, ask questions, comment, let me know what's going on, and give me other ideas. Are there other things that you've thought about or you'd like me to think about? Send them over. Let me know. And I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you'll stay around for more, because I really would like to see you again the next time at the Constitution Study. Thanks.
There's one thing you have to know wherever you make your stand. Came from a long through line of everyday